Welcome to a revealing exploration of the darker side of the IT industry in India, a world where human skills are the new gold, traded and transacted not for their human value but for profit. In this relentless market, you're not viewed as a person but merely as a resource or a skill set. Imagine being part of an industry that operates like a sophisticated talent brokerage, where companies market your abilities to the highest bidder, pocketing hefty commissions while you're left grappling with the leftovers. This environment fosters a brutal cycle of long hours, intense stress, and fleeting job security, pushing many to the brink of their mental and physical limits. Yet amidst these challenges, there's a pressing need for sweeping reforms to ensure fairness, job security, and a healthier work-life balance. Dive deeper with us into the intricacies and ethical dilemmas of this vibrant yet troubling sector by tuning into our full podcast.
Welcome to Chai and Chat, where there is always a story to tell.
Alright, let's get this straight. In the IT game, you're not seen as a person, you're tagged as a resource or a skill set. That's the harsh truth. The sharper your skills, the hotter your demand in the market. And when I say market, I'm talking about those client companies that don't really employ IT folks directly. Nope, they prefer renting a specialist from a third party to handle specific tech tasks, be it software development or keeping systems up and running. But get this, not everyone in IT is hunched over keyboards and is doing coding. The field's vast, stretching from answering support calls all the way up to developing cutting-edge software. From the outside, IT looks all shiny and full of promise, right? But here is the downside. A lot of these flashy IT companies are nothing more than upscale talent brokers. They market your skills to the highest bidder, pocket a hefty commission, and leave you with the leftovers. It is a clever, calculated game, selling skills as if trading skills like they're just another commodity to make a quick buck. So, the next time that glossy pitch hits your ears, remember IT is just a game where you are being sold to some company for a price out of which a few breadcrumbs will be thrown to you. Unlike traditional industries that rely heavily on physical raw materials, like the steel industry with its iron ore, coal and limestone, or the garment industry that needs wool, silk and cotton, the IT industry operates differently. IT doesn't depend on these tangible resources. Instead, IT's primary raw material is the human skill set, the brainpower of its workforce. In traditional sectors, a significant portion of capital goes into securing these raw materials. However, in the IT world, this isn't the case. This absence of traditional raw material costs allows IT companies to potentially offer better salaries compared to some other industries. Yet, as you gain experience and climb the career ladder, you'll start seeing the inner workings of these companies, their business models, what they charge clients for your services, and the disparity between what they earn and what they pay you. This revelation can often lead to a mix of frustration and disappointment. One major issue in the IT industry is that the professionals often work very late, sometimes until 10 or 11 p.m., and then start again at 9 a.m. the next day. This kind of schedule can make them very stressed, sleep deprived, and hurt their health and relationships. Even though IT jobs may seem promising at first, the pay often doesn't keep up with rising costs, and there's little chance of moving up the ladder or learning new things. This can make people feel stuck and stressed as they try to handle their personal and family monetary needs while feeling unhappy at work. The stress gets worse when they have to work really hard to meet deadlines and find that there are few chances to move up in their career. Many think about changing careers or going back to higher studies, which can make them feel even more uncertain and pressured. There's also a big difference in how much money top bosses and regular employees make, which makes many worry about their financial future. Even with many years of work, regular IT employees don't get raises that match the rising cost of living, which makes them feel financially unstable and unhappy with their jobs. Moreover, the fear of losing their jobs and the reality that employees might not get work and may have to sit in the bench for months can lead to mental health problems like anxiety and depression. In fact, if you work for a big IT company in India, you might notice that many companies are now offering mental health and well-being counseling sessions and seminars. This shows that the companies know about these problems but choose to offer support through these sessions, instead of dealing with the main reasons behind the problems. A closer look at the salary differences shows that contract workers often have less financial security because they earn lower wages and get fewer benefits than permanent staff. This issue comes from the temporary and less stable nature of contract jobs. Additionally, there is a significant global difference in wages. For example, entry-level IT professionals in India might earn between 3 to 4 lakh rupees a year, whereas their counterparts in countries like the USA or UK earn much higher salaries that match the cost of living in those places. Furthermore, salaries of CEOs in Indian IT companies have shot up from about 80 lakh rupees in the early 2000s to between 7 and 8 crore rupees today, highlighting growing wage inequality throughout the company levels. These wage gaps not only point out financial imbalances but also lead to widespread job dissatisfaction and underline the urgent need for changes in the industry. There are many companies in the IT world who often hire a lot of people quickly to work on specific projects or to use new technologies. However, they might let these employees go once the project is finished or if the technology isn't needed anymore. This approach causes job instability and insecurity among workers. This issue is made worse by hiring practices that focus on temporary project needs and by moving jobs to places where IT is cheaper to hire workers, which affects job security both locally and globally. The constant worry about losing their job creates a stressful and uncertain environment for employees, hurting their morale and loyalty. This stress can lead to lower performance and burnout, as employees feel they must constantly prove their value to avoid being laid off. Additionally, job security is very sensitive to the economy, with IT budgets and jobs often being cut quickly during economic downturns. In India, the lack of social security benefits for job loss makes this hire and fire strategy particularly harsh, leaving employees feeling perpetually insecure. Also, there is no strong government support or powerful workers' union to protect employees. So if someone loses their job, they are often left to deal with the situation on their own. One major area of concern in the IT industry is the area of yearly appraisal. During appraisals, a prevalent unethical practice is the influence of favoritism and subjective judgment over objective assessment of employee performance. Specific examples include instances where employees who are close to or frequently socialize with managers receive undeserved promotions and salary increments, regardless of their actual contributions or competency. This practice not only demoralizes hardworking professionals, but also hampers fair career progression. For example, it is commonly observed that some employees secure significant raises and fast-tracked career advancement merely by being visible and agreeable to upper management, rather than through genuine skill or project achievements. This favoritism erodes trust in the appraisal process, leading to a work environment where nepotism trumps meritocracy, ultimately impacting organizational efficiency and employee retention negatively. In many IT companies, particularly larger corporations, the effectiveness of HR departments in addressing employee rights and grievances varies considerably. Although these companies often have formal grievance redressal mechanisms and policies in place, the actual treatment of employee concerns can be less than satisfactory. For example, employees frequently report that HR departments tend to prioritize the company's interests over individual grievances, especially when it involves conflicts with higher management. In instances of unfair appraisals or promotions, employees might find that their complaints are either downplayed or not confidentially handled, leading to fears of retaliation or being branded as a troublemaker. Moreover, while HR policies are well documented, the enforcement and application can be inconsistent, with some employees feeling that their concerns about unethical practices are not taken seriously or thoroughly investigated. This perceived ineffectiveness can discourage employees from coming forward with their issues, perpetuating a cycle of unresolved grievances and fostering a workplace environment where employees feel their rights are not adequately protected or respected. Working in this industry, there's a lot of competition among employees to get a chance to work on site in a Western country. Professionally, these opportunities can boost their careers because they get more exposure within the company and gain valuable international experience. Personally, these positions often come with financial perks like higher salaries, daily allowances, and sometimes even paid living expenses, which are a big deal compared to what they would get at home. However, the living conditions for on-site employees can be quite different and not always good. While some companies provide comfortable living situations, others put their employees in less ideal places to save money. For instance, employees might end up in shared housing with little privacy or live far from their workplace, leading to long travel times and more stress. The quality of life can also suffer due to the lack of friends and family nearby, cultural differences, and the challenges of adjusting to a new place, which can make them feel isolated and impact their mental health. Also, leadership issues in the IT industry are significant and profoundly impact organizational health and employee satisfaction. A primary concern is the transition of highly skilled technical personnel into leadership roles without adequate training in management and interpersonal skills. Often, standout programmers or engineers are promoted to managerial positions based on their technical prowess rather than their ability to lead and manage people. This leads to ineffective leadership, where managers struggle with delegation, communication, and team motivation. Another issue is the prevalence of a top-down, command and control leadership style that stifles innovation and creativity. In a field that thrives on innovation, such an approach demotivates teams, leading to low morale and high turnover rates. IT leaders often focus heavily on project delivery and timelines, sometimes at the expense of team development and mentoring. Moreover, the rapid pace of technological change requires leaders who are proactive about continuous learning and adaptation, not only for themselves but also for their teams. However, there is a significant gap in leaders' ability to foster an environment of learning and adaptability, which makes organizations slow to respond to industry changes. Cultural issues also play a role, where diverse global teams necessitate leaders who are sensitive to cultural differences and capable of managing cross-cultural teams effectively. The lack of such sensitivity leads to misunderstandings and conflicts within teams, hampering productivity and collaboration. There have been cases where managers from India have called up certain employee in a Western country for some work after the work hours, leading to violation of labor law in that specific country. Additionally, the tendency to prioritize short-term results over long-term strategy leads to burnout and churn. Leaders may push teams excessively to meet immediate project goals without considering sustainable work practices, leading to a cycle of stress and employee dissatisfaction. Like, for example, revenue goals are set unrealistically and commitments are made without knowing the ground realities. Like, for example, a company which has a revenue size of $10 million can grow by 20%, which is $2 million additional in a year. Whereas for a company of the size of $20 billion, it will be a real challenge to grow by 20% or by $2 billion in a year. Without considering the implications, such revenue growth commitments are frequently made by the so-called leaders whimsically, which often lead to negative perception about the company in the market. Very few IT leaders want to focus on long-term goals. Instead, they only focus on quarterly and yearly goals to make their shareholders happy. Instead, if they could make the employees happy, the entire landscape could change. The happy employees will make the clients happy. The happy clients will give more work to the company, which would result in more revenue for the company, ultimately leading to happy shareholders. But unfortunately, very few IT leaders think this way. Overall, addressing leadership issues in the IT industry involves developing leaders who are not only technically proficient, but are also skilled in people management, empathetic to cultural differences, and capable of fostering a supportive, innovative, and sustainable work environment, along with the ability to judge the ground reality and be transparent enough to portray the reality. In the IT industry, dealing with clients' unrealistic expectations is a major challenge, often made worse by competitive pressure and the need to win contracts in a crowded market. IT company leaders sometimes agree to these tough demands to avoid losing business to competitors, even though it might negatively affect their teams. There have been numerous instances where IT leaders committed to certain demands without fully understanding their impact. Although things are starting to change, but until recently, if the client was from a Western country and is a white guy with certain expectations, our IT leaders would go to great lengths to satisfy the client, even if it meant making their own team members unhappy. India's IT sector has been a cornerstone of its economic growth, catapulting the nation onto the global stage as a major hub of technology and innovation. The industry has not only boosted India's GDP, but has also created millions of jobs, enhancing the skill levels and economic prospects of its workforce. However, to sustain this growth and ensure that the IT sector continues to be a vibrant and thriving part of India's economy, comprehensive reforms and regulations are necessary to address the issues of employee welfare, job security, and work-life balance. To build a happier and more sustainable IT industry, the roles of employees, government, industry leaders, and enterprises must be clearly defined and actively pursued. Employees should advocate for their rights and well-being, engage in continuous learning to keep pace with technological advances, and participate in forums that promote ethical practices and fair treatment within the workplace. Government intervention is crucial. It should enact and enforce regulations that ensure fair employment practices, protect against job insecurity, and promote ethical management. This includes legislating for better working conditions, enforcing standards for wages and layoffs, and supporting skill development to keep the workforce globally competitive. Industry leaders have a pivotal role in shaping the future of the IT sector. They must commit to transparent and ethical leadership, prioritize employee well-being alongside client demands, and foster a corporate culture that values fairness and sustainability over short-term gains. This involves investing in employee development, creating pathways for career growth, and implementing management practices that distribute benefits more equitably across all levels of the organization. Enterprises must also embrace their responsibility by instituting policies that reduce undue stress and burnout among their employees. This includes reasonable working hours, proper grievance redressal mechanisms, and a supportive work environment that encourages innovation without sacrificing employee health. In conclusion, for India's IT sector to remain a robust industry of the future, a concerted effort from all stakeholders is essential. By implementing thoughtful reforms and ensuring strict regulatory oversight and fostering a culture of respect and sustainability, India can continue to harness the full potential of its IT sector, ensuring IT remains a source of prosperity and innovation. With this, we come to the end of today's podcast. If you find this podcast interesting and want to listen to similar podcasts in future, then please consider subscribing to our channel.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.